I'm so excited. It's that time of month. Everyone's favorite time. Okay, maybe not everyone, but my favorite time. It is reading wrap-up time. I always love the start of a new month because it's just like a reset from everything, and then you get wrap-ups uploaded. You get TBRs uploaded. It's just a great grand old time. We are going to be talking about all of the books I read in, I almost said May. No, July. I think it's 8 books. It was honestly a very good reading month. I don't think I have anything below 4-star, which is insane. So we're just gonna hop right in. The first book I read was The Assassin's Blade. You're gonna get a theme in this where I read most of this series, The Throne of Glass. I started with Assassin's Blade. Some people may attack me because the reading order of the series is very controversial, but I'm honestly really glad I started Assassin's Blade, and I loved it because when I was reading books farther along the series, there was like references to this book, and I was like, oh my god, I love that. This is a 5-star book. This was so good. I went into it in the middle of a slump, not really being sure about how like a short story collection would go, and it went so good. I loved it. All of the stories in this were fantastic, and I still think about them, and it was so good. And I loved the background on Selena's life. So a little premise into the Throne of Glass series before I get into a lot of the other books. It's basically about our girl Selena, and she is an assassin. Basically she just has to go through all these trials and tests. It's just so good. So this book is her backstory, and then next I read the first book in the series, Throne of Glass. Now this book is set after Assassin's Blade, so that's why I read it first. I'm like, it just makes sense, you know? But this one is basically, she goes to this trial, it's kind of Hunger Games-esque, in order to be the king's assassin. So she wins, she gets to be the king's champion, it's called, but it's basically like his assassin. And this one was so good, probably like a 4.25-ish read. Definitely not as good as some of the other books, but it was a great start to the series. And then I needed a little happy-go-lucky book after all that, you know, murder and stuff. So I picked up Archer's Voice. This is one of the books that's been on my TBR the longest. I've had it for almost a year now when I started getting really into reading. I've heard everyone love this book, and I actually really liked it myself. I think I gave it like a 4.5. So super good reading. I literally read it in like one sitting, one day. I just love small town. I just love small town books. The premise of this is about Archer and the back literally doesn't say her name, and I have no clue. I almost said Mia for Mia Sheridan. No. She basically moves to this small town. The vibes are just great with this small town. We love that. There's this guy in the town, and he's kind of like mysterious, closed off, and he doesn't talk. And they have like some encounters together, and she's just really intrigued, I guess, by his story and all that. She basically takes it upon herself to kind of befriend him and get to know him and like why he doesn't talk and all that. So she does, and then obviously they fall in love, and it's really cute. There was definitely some parts of it that were a little cringy and like not really my vibe, I guess, but I still really liked this, and I thought it was a really cute story, and I love the small town vibes. And then I continued the Throne of Glass series. This is the second book, third if you read Assassin's Blade first. This is probably like a good 4-star one for me. Kind of a filler book. It was still super good. I literally love the characters in this series so much. It is so good. I was so just like enthralled in the story, and I just felt for all of the characters and loved them all so much. Can't really tell you what this is about, spoilers and everything, but the ending left me shook. I was in shock. Obviously I knew something with what happened was gonna happen, but I didn't know what happened was gonna happen. Like they were hinting at it kind of, but I didn't pick up on what they were putting down. Like I was thinking something else was with that, but yeah, I was shook. So, and I'm sorry if this is boring and I'm just talking about these books, but 5 stars to Miss Heir of Fire. This story, it took a complete 360. It took a complete turn in this book. Literally, Selena goes on an adventure somewhere completely different from where she's ever been, and you meet new characters in a new kind of setting area, and you literally love the new characters in the new setting so much, and it is just so interesting. It is definitely a turning point in the story to where it gets completely different. That's all I'm gonna say. 5 stars. And then I needed another palette cleanser because I did a 24-hour challenge coming soon to a channel near you, and I was like, I cannot read fantasy for another minute. Even though I love the series and wanted to, I needed something else. So I picked up Our Final Love Song by N.S. Perkins. It's just a really short, cutie romance book. It's essentially about this couple, Jamie and Emma, and they are in a relationship. They've been together for a few years and they're struggling. They are struggling. Every year they go to this like summer music camp type thing, and except this year they get there and realize that it's a year in the past. So it's a camp year that they've already done. I don't know if I make sense, but they basically travel back in time without meaning to, and so they're figuring out what happened along with how to fix their relationship. It was super cute. I liked the camp vibe. It was just a cute, simple read. I gave it a 4 stars, but looking back, I haven't really thought about it since, so maybe a 3.5. Are we surprised? Another Throne of Glass book. This is the thickest one. I just love how this series gets thicker and thicker as it goes. This is another 5-star read. This was so good. This book is where everything started to go down. It was so good. Basically, just everything goes down in this book, and it is so good, and you love all the characters, and you're so invested in what was happening. And I literally flew through this book, and it's 650 pages. If you want my live reaction, stay tuned to a 24-hour challenge coming soon where I read this. Oh my gosh. And this, Divine Freaking Rivals, this book, 5 stars. So I went into this not knowing really what was gonna happen at all. I knew it was fantasy, but when I started reading it, I was confused because I'm like, where's the fantasy at? This book was so good. I literally loved it so much, and I've never read a story like this, you guys. I'm gonna tell you guys the main summary, and then just know that it's so much more than this, and it completely turns around into another type of story. Her name's Iris, and she basically lives in this world where there's a war going on, and her brother is fighting in said war, and she works at this like newspaper gazette type thing, and she is a writer there. So she has a typewriter at her house, and it is actually a magical typewriter, so she is able to send letters under her wardrobe, and they get delivered to kind of a mystery man. She doesn't really know who she's writing to, but he knows who she is. So you get dual POVs, and then also at her job at the newspaper, she is rivals with some guy who works there. It is super cute. When I first got into it, I was like, oh, it's just like a magical workplace romance. Like, I was like, where's the fantasy? And then you get into it. I will say it's not fantasy heavy, so if you're getting into fantasy, this is a great place to start. It's definitely kind of like magical, and I guess just the world's a little different than our world. I really recommend this book. It is so good. Oh, I forgot. Oh, I just remembered the ending. Yeah, it kind of leaves off on a cliffhanger, so what? I'm sorry, who was gonna tell me this wasn't a simple enemy slot? No, one of the questions. Does Divine Rivals have a happy ending? Do I look like it had a happy ending? Just prepare yourself and maybe wait to read it until the second one comes out if you want to know what happens right away, because I read it not really knowing there was gonna be a sequel or anything, and I wish I would have waited. Like, I loved it so much, but like now I have to wait till, I don't know, whenever it comes out, and it's gonna be difficult because the ending was insane. So yes, that is everything that I read in the month of July, and let me know if you've read the Throne of Glass series and what you're thinking, because I'm freaking loving it. Just let me know your thoughts and give me some book recs down below. Bye.